Derek Jones is the way to go. Call 706-5000.
Is it a good area? The Orlando edition. This is a Central Florida overview that I have to give quite a bit. I know you're interested in Central Florida, and you're probably asking yourself, do I want to live here? Would this area match my lifestyle? So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to give you a northwest view, a northeast view, a southeast, and a southwest view of the area. And I'm going to go pretty far out. So like if I zoom coast to coast here, you can see Tampa on one side, Daytona, Titusville, Melbourne over here. I'm going to really zoom out into a wide lens, and I'm going to move pretty fast to give you an overlapping idea of these areas. Kind of, how affordable are they? How crime ridden are they? Or how, ideal are they to live there? If there's any background on schools, everything you need to know about it. So let's get started. So first off, if you look at Northwest Orlando, if you kind of go downtown Northwest, this like closest square, if you will, you reach, this area really close inside of Apopka is still pretty heavily urban, more city. There's not as much of a feel of suburban life yet until you kind of get to Apopka. So like everything inside of Apopka, if you will, is more traffic, subdivision by subdivision from one street to the next, with obviously schools and local parks and things of that nature. But the more closer you get to Orlando on this corner, and I would say all the way around the block, this internal square here is going to be the higher, more dense urbanized area of downtown Orlando. But up here, you've got Altamont Springs and Longwood. These are the areas where it starts to get a little more low density. So these are areas where the lots get a little bit larger. Going out this way, you can even find luxury homes on half acres and stuff like that in Longwood, even ranch style homes in Longwood and Apopka that are an acre, 2 acres plus. Yet you can see it's not really that far from downtown. One thing I will say about the Northwest, you want to look in all directions at the crime map. One of the best crime maps that I would tell you is crimegrade.org. I like this map because I can zoom in very close and see a particular area right off of a street. I could see a subdivision. If you look at the downtown area, you can see, if you look at the east versus the west, you see a much more high concentrated bright area here with crime. So one of the things I will point to you is that there's this very tight circle here. If we're looking at just this square, that if you look over here, it looks like there's probably, 70% less crime. Just as a visual look, the Northeast has a lot more green. The Northwest has a lot more color, which is a combination of property and violent crimes. So that's something to know about, is like this is a very hot spot right here. Okay. Now you get out here, this is, starting to get to the edge of Apopka, and this is the edge of, Longwood, Altamont Springs, when it starts to turn green here. And then, it just stays kind of green for the most part. It has a much different tone to it as far as the look. So obviously this area right here that's bright is obviously lower cost. Land is cheaper. You're going to end up seeing search results of more affordable houses. Usually they're older. Some cases, concrete block, basic, been here a long time because it's in the inner city, but it's obviously a much different zone. But out here, Apopka is also very affordable. And I think just because the edge of the crime wave on this edge, I don't know whether that's impacted the edge here, but I think really once you kind of get this far away from the center of town, the further from the heart of town, a lot of times property values are cheaper. The dirt is less valuable. It's not valueless. It's just less valuable than being right on top of the center of town. So like you can get a little bit more bang for your buck out here. And there's a mix of very nice communities up here. And again, this is on the edge of the national park. There's Wekiva National Park. There's Ocala Park is above that. There's a lot of parks if you kind of pull back this way, going north on this northwest edge of town. So if you go further out, it's even more beautiful, more country. So you can go from the center of Orlando. I'm going to go back to my normal map here. If you go from the center of Orlando, Apopka starts to get a little bit more rural. This is all protected land right here. This is all Rock Springs State Reserve, Seminole State Forest. This is all forested area right here. on the northwest side of Orlando. So like the city stops right here. And again, this is Seminole County Schools kind of ends here. Orange County starts over here somewhere, but like Seminole goes back this way. You have really good popular schools in Seminole. Orange County, not bad, but not as great, going this direction. And then going up north, you have a pocketed of another area up here that's Harris Chain of Lakes. All these lakes you see pocketed here is the spawn of a bunch of different cities like Leesburg, Tavares, Mount Dora, Eustis, Sorrento. These areas are becoming very popular because they've created highways that drive you back towards, the Interstate 4 from that area. So like it just gives you an opportunity to cross over. You can get back to North Orlando pretty fast. So like Sorrento, Mount Dora, beautiful. Mount Dora is built on the lakes. You can see my little pop-up here. It's like, there's the lake, there's the cities, beautiful area to check out. They just do a phenomenal job throughout the year of just keeping it like small town feel, but it's very beautiful. Tavares is affordable. It's, kind of like an urban version of Mount Dora. Like it's been there and been developed over the past 40, 50 years. Leesburg as well. Leesburg is, again, you're getting further from downtown Orlando. You're getting more affordable. Like Tavares is more affordable than Mount Dora. Tavares is more affordable than Apopka, right? So further out you get, gets a little cheaper. And again, this feels like you're a little bit, disconnected from the Orlando metro area. It's kind of getting further out there, but you can see there's a hub of a lot of highways out here. So Leesburg and all these areas out here are pretty close to the turnpike. They're close to all the freeway access roads, and it's a little bit more laid back. This is Lake County now out here. So you remember over here, I was telling you that, Seminole County is Altamont Springs going back towards Oviedo. You have Seminole County ending right about here. Orange County picks back up, which is the major Orlando county. And then out here, somewhere out here, there's a line, I think through Mount Dora, that's Lake County, and Lake County starts out here. Lake County is the most laid back of all of them and easiest to manage from requirements, restrictions, I would say. This is my opinion, okay? The communities there are just less restrictive. I would tell you code of ordinances and things are much easier in Lake County probably than anywhere else. Definitely easier in Orange County when you're talking about developing houses and things of that nature. But you get more room, you get more space, you get less density the further you go this direction. Again, watch the crime map. This isn't my own representation. You obviously can see the crime map, that this in here is a hot spot of crime. And then obviously there's some other areas that we'll talk about as we go. So that's the Northwest, runs below the park system. And it's just built, these again are more quaint cities, really, these are like what Florida feels like when you go out this direction. And, I don't want to go too far. I want to make sure I don't, forget to mention the top of Winter Garden here. Winter Garden stretches way down. Winter Garden is one of the most popular areas of Central Florida. Thriving. It is getting pricey though. Winter Garden's median price is getting to be around $580,000, pushing $600,000, getting more expensive to live here. People that want to live here that, are buying $370,000 to $450,000 in a townhome marketplace. Not really any condos in Winter Garden. It's mostly townhomes when you're not purchasing a single family house. But townhomes here are going to range in the 300s to the 400s. Houses here are going to range in the probably low fours, on into the $1 million range. Obviously, a lot of waterfront options here. If you want lakefront living, there's some beautiful lakefront areas. Pretty good schools again. And I'm not trying to go too far south, but the Winter Garden downtown area has one of the most popular. Plant Street is a historic street. It's got 100-year-old buildings on it. Farmers markets every weekend. Golf cart driving from house to the street, to enjoy Plant Street. Beautiful little local restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And then coming out here, again, that whole idea of affordability further from Orlando. You get a pocket of cities called Mineola, Claremont, Groveland. These are all built on the shores of Lake Apopka and on the shores of what's called the Claremont chain of lakes here. A lot of people that visit Disney down here are familiar with Claremont because Claremont literally stretches from here all the way down here. So Claremont really kind of ends down here. So people that visit Disney sometimes get stationed down here in a house or vacation house. and they think Claremont's Claremont Disney. It's not. Claremont's, the heart of Claremont's really up here. This is where City Hall is. This is where their Main Street is, and their farmers markets, all that kind of stuff. This is home for the locals of Claremont, not down here. But nonetheless, these cities run long on this edge of town. So we're on the west side of Orlando. Claremont runs way down here, and Winter Garden runs from here way down to 192. So Winter Garden is literally wrapped around the edge of Disney property. Windermere is wrapped above Disney property. Dr. Phillips is on the opposite side. Dr. Phillips is an Orlando neighborhood. And I don't want to skip Windermere, but I'll talk to you about Dr. Phillips first. Dr. Phillips is actually just a name after a guy who helped colonize this area. Dr. Phillips was a person, obviously, and then, you know, his namesake stayed in that area. So it's not an official city name as far as I know. Okay? I'm not extremely an expert on this particular part of municipality, but I'm pretty sure that every time, in fact, I'm positive, 100% positive, homes I've sold in Dr. Phillips, they're Orlando addresses. So Dr. Phillips is kind of like a known area name, which is, this area is really known for its golf course communities, lake living. It's literally on Disney's doorstep. It was one of the first communities built right between Universal Studios and Disney itself. So theme park executives like to live here. Golf course enthusiasts like to live here because the Bay Hill is a PGA course. Bay Hill Classic was Arnold Palmer's, one of his namesakes, is basically taking place there all the time. And it's just a really, this is a very interesting area of town. It's just got, you know, a lot of custom homes built on beautiful waters here, you know, very nice lakes. And same with Windermere. Windermere is kind of a handoff. That Windermere is probably one of the most expensive areas in Central Florida. It's got a mix. You can buy a townhome in the 400s here. You can buy a home in the 400s here on up, almost like Winter Garden. Windermere is very similar, very high end. And this particular area is going to have, you know, just they're going to have an option of very high level customs. The community that, you know, Tiger Woods was known to have lived in, obviously Shaq's house was there and he just sold that. There's many government people and people that are business owners own houses in this particular community. I'm talking national business owners, people that are, you know, very top level athletes, everything else. Buy homes in a particular community called Isleworth. Isleworth here has custom homes probably as high as $30-40 million on the top end, and common houses here. A $2 million house in Isleworth is a common house. It's like what you'd expect to see in a random neighborhood. Obviously, it's much nicer. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying if you're just building a 2,500 square foot, you know, typical bread and butter house in Isleworth, that's going to be at least $2 million. But just a moderate custom home, like mid-range custom home here, is going to be from $5 to $10 million commonly. Okay. So that's Isleworth, but there's obviously many other subdivisions around this area. I think Windermere's upside is that it's beautiful. Its downside is this traffic is very tough to get through here. You know, Windermere is built between the lakes. So I think it's just known for that. I think it's called Among the Lakes. If you look at their tagline for their city, it's Among the Lakes. Well, you have like 2-lane roads among the lakes that everybody has to feed in and out of to get through it. And so it's not easy to travail. And a lot of people move out because they just get sick of the afternoon traffic because it takes them forever to get through it. You know, it's kind of a one way in, one way out kind of town. I'm not being very specific about that. It's obviously, there's probably more than one way, but it feels that way. It's planted. You see how far the freeways are out here. You know, there's very dense traffic to get from here to any of these freeways on either side. So it takes time to get in and out of this place. And there's school zones in between that. And it's just, you know, it can be frustrating. So something to say for that, ups and downs on all that. Disney occupies this whole space down here. This is theirs. And you can kind of tell we're kind of moving down. You know, if you look at Orlando, the Northwest where we started is, you know, if I center it back up, Northwest is right here. This is Southwest. So we're really kind of conversion to Southwest. When we went from Winter Garden, dropped down, it kind of, Winter Garden kind of splits the market and kind of goes towards the South. But these areas down here are very popular. This is, what I consider to be upper middle and upper class type of homeownership. Like if you look at the census areas for these, the income levels are going to be higher. These are going to be middle to upper middle over here. Much more affordable options where you have a much higher percentage of regular purchasable single family homes. I tell you that like a bread and butter single family home in the heart of Claremont, Mineola now is going to be high 300s, going into the 4s. If you watch this late in 2022, just add 20% to whatever I just said. That's unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. But this particular area out here is known for its lakes, and it's also known for its topography. Mineola Claremont has some beautiful ground, hills. So a lot of people that come from other areas like the North, Pennsylvania, and stuff like that, they really are fond of this area because like when you go down Highway 50, which literally Highway 50 splits the Orlando area, it's just hilly. You got nice hills, green. There's a lot going on in this area too. You got like Olympic Village, not Olympic Village, just Olympic Training Center rather for people, and they travel. Olympians travel from all over. Athletes travel from all over to come to this area. From the Olympic standpoint, there's the Olympic Training Center there. There's also lots of lake style lake opportunities for lake athletes, like wakeboarders. A lot of professional wakeboarders live out here. A lot of wakeboarders live in Orlando, period, that are professionals. So don't get me wrong, but like there are a few out here that are top of the game. And then there's obviously people that come visit. When you get past Claremont, Groveland is the next town over. It starts to get a little bit more quaint, but this is obviously becoming very popular because it's slightly less expensive in Groveland. However, it's not the secret's out on it. It's not so much, I'd say an entry-level house in Groveland right now costs you mid threes. A move-up style home in the Groveland is going to be 350 to 400, maybe 425. And then Mascot's going to be a little cheaper. Mascot is, the further out you go 50, the more quaint and small town it feels. Mascot is going to be pretty good distance from the major hospitals, major shopping, 30 minutes away. So people a lot of times want to move in from Mascot because it's too far out, so on and so forth. And, so that's just something to think about. It's just getting pretty remote out here. It's just something to kind of point out. Now, I want to make sure I'm going to circle back because when I went towards Leesburg, I kind of bounced back in. This area down here above Claremont, Mineola, this middle ground between, Leesburg, Tavares, Mount Dora, this is all the same county over here. These are, the hills of Claremont really stretch up into here, and this is just a beautiful area. So if you want country, a little bit more land, some beautiful out of town kind of feel areas, these are going to be some great options. Leesburg as well is exploding. Leesburg's got some major communities being built in here. I've always felt Leesburg was a little underdeveloped for me. Like whenever I go to Leesburg downtown, it just feels like it's an old shopping center areas, stuff like that. And I just don't necessarily, it's not my vibe. So, but as far as the rest is concerned, like down here, these areas here operate off of the Mascot, Groveland, Claremont, particularly Claremont. These are going to operate off of Claremont's amenities. And there's tons of shopping, movie theaters, restaurants, and things that are hubbed down here. And so these aren't far to, it's not a far drive. So if you want to go to get a steak or something like that for dinner, or a vegan restaurant or whatever, you could come right here. And these aren't far away areas, but they're nice and remote. You can see there's lots of lakes and things there to live near. And even down here, if you're wanting to buy a secluded acre and be away from everybody, or secluded 5 acres, that's affordable. Groveland north to south is great because the turnpike runs right here. So turnpike, you want to be able to feed to this particular access point to get downtown or to go north. If you work north, that's going to be a great opportunity. Okay. So kind of seeing where we're at right now, we went Orlando, we went straight north. We kind of talked about all these areas. I haven't talked to you about the crime in the West, but as you can see, like we've been really talking about Lake Apopka North. You can see some brightness in the Leesburg area up here. And in Tavares is obviously green, Eustis is green, Mount Dora is green. You see some little spots. I think that's really when you're in downtown areas, where you see these brightness right here. But just a second ago, we were talking Claremont. You can see Claremont by and large is super green. The hilly areas is super green. And I don't know where this is. I think this is just the exit. So there's an exit right here to the turnpike, and there's some hotels and stuff here. So that might be what this is right here. But like you can see that this is all the communities. This is Mineola, bright green, Claremont, bright green, north side of Claremont, bright green, Winter Gardens, basically bright green with some, Disney Seas, a little bit of little highlighting. But the rest of this is Windermere, bright green. Even so look at this. So far off, you can get all the way out here in Ocoee, Winter Garden, Ocoee's still green. You got a lot of city right here. This is a lot of shops, restaurants, stuff like this. That's probably what's glowing. This is right off the 50, Highway 50 is right here, Colonial. So, kind of look at the crime map again. But let's get going. Let's go south. There's been a huge migration south because of affordability crisis. So like we're back here, we got Orlando right in the heart, in the sights here, and we kind of worked our way down. Just a second ago, I showed you the crime maps through here. I showed you how all this was green except for these, like some downtown areas. All this was green in here, really greener, light yellow. And then Winter Garden, it's called Horizon West. All this area down here. Now, down here, we start to right here, even though it says Davenport way down here, Davenport starts up here. So Davenport starts below. So Claremont comes way down here. Disney is here. Okay, so Disney, the castle, is big circle, and all this area down here feeds off of Disney. So all this area in the surrounding is Disney restaurant, people that are tourists that eat restaurants. They go to the Targets, the Walmarts, all have Mickey memorabilia in them. This is the feel down here. Okay, all this area right here has a high vacation resort feel. So you buy in a community here, you can buy in a community that will allow you to rent the house, on a short-term basis, make money on it. Okay. All the way down here to around I-4, and then it kind of stops. You can't really start, do that stuff much. But right here, you see this triangular shape from Celebration down I-4, up to 27, back down 192. This is called the triangle. It's a golden triangle. You call it whatever you want. This is an area where there's a lot of investment homes, vacation homes, Airbnb. You can't do Airbnb in the rest of the city unless you live in the house with the guest. Can't do it. It's only area. The other rule in this area, even so, this area, all the counties, there's several counties that overlap right here, by the way. They call this area the Four Corners because there's 4 counties that corner here. You got Orange County here. On this side over here, you got Lake County ending here. Down here, you got Polk County. It's this bottom end down here. And over here, you got Osceola County. So there's 4 counties that all converge right here. So kind of like you put a crosshair right here in this area up below Disney. 4 counties converge, called the Four Corners area. So if you hear Four Corners, that's why they call it that. But this particular area down here is Davenport. Davenport's highly touristy. That requires some unique stamina on your part if you want to live near tourists all the time. And oftentimes full-timers do not want to do it. Tourists have their own unique way of driving. Tourists crowd the place. I live up in here. So I live in this particular area, and I travel a lot of times to eat here in the tourist section because they have lots of options. It doesn't bother me a bit. It is crowded. Sometimes I'll drive down there and go, wow, there's a lot of traffic. There's a Target that that's right here on this cross street. We go to that Target. Doesn't matter to me. I like to walk around and see all the people from other countries and people that are tourists here. It doesn't matter to me at all. So it does matter to some, but I get to go home. And where I live up here, there's not a lot of tourists living around me personally. But if you lived in here, different story. It's something you need to consider. If you want to live in Davenport, you might want to go more south. Okay. Unless you want to Airbnb the property, and then you need to buy in here. Celebration's a town Disney built. I just put up a video on that. The March 9th is when that video launches, a 30-minute explanation of the history of Celebration. Disney built Celebration from the start, and they handed it off. Okay. You cannot do Airbnb in this area. Celebration's homeowner association will not allow it. It's a very cool city, very unique. If you want to learn more about it, check that video out. Celebration really has townhomes that start in the 400s. As you're watching this video, that have single family homes. Cheapest single family homes there are in the 500s. So if you are interested, and by the way, make adjustments. If you're watching this in the future, you probably need to add more money on what I just said because prices are climbing fast. A lot of people that are relocating to Florida are interested in this area down here. Okay, so look how far now we're getting from Orlando. Orlando's here. Davenport is like 45 minutes to 50 minutes away. So you jump on I-4 and go all the way down there. It's going to take some time, especially from Haines City. But Davenport, Haines City, Winter Haven, these areas down here are now growing as Orlando pushes out for affordability's sake. Davenport has become very difficult to find a house under 350 that's like a good single family home. By the way, vacation homes, if you want to buy one here, you should buy one fully furnished so you don't have to purchase all the furniture, electronics. Fully furnished homes sell 350, 400 on up. Really 400 grand is really the budget for a vacation home now. Townhomes, vacation homes, townhomes are like 325 on up for a good townhome in this area. Okay. That's what'll happen. That's what you can, again, adjust higher if you're looking later. Champions Gate, Reunion, all these are good options. By the way, this is Kissimmee West. We're gonna talk about Kissimmee in a minute. Be very careful with this particular area for reasons I'm gonna share with you in a second. But let's go further south, okay? So you got Davenport, Haines City. These areas still feel a little country. They're now starting to see more city, more growth, but they still feel a little country. So if you're thinking that you need to save money, you want to be in a 350s price point, you want a 4-bedroom house, you can do that down here. Davenport, Haines City, not Davenport so much, but Haines City for sure. And Winter Haven, people are considering Auburndale now. As you're going further out, these are now more affordable areas, but people look at these homes online and they go, oh, I'm going to live in Winter Haven. Then they have never even driven here to realize that these are kind of, you might have a barn, a neighbor with a barn next door to your nice new community. And that's just the way it is. Like, cause it's a little country still. So it's just a little out there. It's a little country. If you know what country means, like that's what you might see next door. So, some people say they come from a different town and they think that's ghetto. Like I've heard people say that this is ghetto. Yeah, because it's just mixed up. Like you're going to have, Hank and the boys live next door because they've lived there for 50 years and they listen to Morgan Wallen on blast all day. That might be a problem for you. Okay. So that's why, people sit there and look at homes on the internet all day long and they have no idea the area. They're just like, I like this house. I want to go look at these houses. No, you don't look at the houses. You look at the area first. Location is #1 rule of real estate. Until you pick that out, you shouldn't be worrying about houses. You don't look for a house unless you pick the area first. Pick area first. Don't focus on, oh, I love this home in Point Siena. You don't even know where Point Siena is. You need a helicopter to get to Point Siena. And no one tells you that. You don't know. Like Florida is the weirdest place to look for a house like that because you think, oh, I might live there. Yeah. But then you look out on a crime map and you realize that your chance of being robbed is incredibly high. Right. And I'm not telling you not to move to a place where the chance of you being robbed is incredibly high. That's a decision for you to make. I just don't get that request very often. Okay. So, understand that the feeder, you could see the feeder routes this direction out of Orlando. You see them cresting this way. That means it's easy to get here. These roads right here. So this is where the sprawl of Orlando is cresting towards. It's going boom, Davenport. Then Davenport got to the 400s. Boom, Haines City is going the same way. Haines City right now is getting to the 400 threshold where it's going to be gone. Like if you want to get in now in the 3s, Haines City can reach you, but now it's going further down. It's going to be Lake Alfred and Winter Haven and then Lake Wales. So you got to understand that's the direction. Now, kind of like the north side, remember a second ago when I showed you North Orlando, I said north up here, there's all this forested area. Down south, there's swampy and forested areas. So down south, there's all this area right here that's just really rural and not even developed. All this swampy. See all this green? This is all green swamp, or, no one lives in these areas. A lot of this area. See it, walk in the water wildlife management. That tells you everything you need to know. Walk in the water wildlife management area. Huge areas of just undeveloped area. This right here is developed. Like see this like brown tan, that's where people live. These are high and dry areas and surrounded by, swamp. Point Siena. Okay, so let's get back to the map. I want to show you where we're going now. We're going to start heading east. We've circled around. Stay with me, folks. You're going to learn a lot still. Okay. Now, we're now seeing Orlando down this way. Okay. If you kind of come out of Orlando, let me give you some other landmarks to think about. Okay. You have City Life still on the south. And then you have the south side of Orlando. You start seeing airports. So South Orlando here, we had Dr. Phillips already. We told you about that. This starts to get a little bit more low end, if you will, low middle class, lower threshold of income ownership in these areas to mid income. This is all census data, folks. I'm not prejudicing. I'm not doing any of that. Like, this is pure data info that I'm giving you right now. Okay. So don't get upset with me on any of this information. You can look it up for yourselves, but this is all what we're seeing here. To about this square right here, this is all high volume of condominiums. There's still some spots in here that are, you got some decent houses, but there's just a spot right here where this gets to be a lot lower income, old, small houses. They just didn't build very expensive homes in this area from the get-go. On the whole, okay, there's obviously some exceptions to every rule, but on the whole, this area is not very pricey, very expensive. And it's basically, let's flip the crime map on that just for a second so you can see it. So check this out. So what we're talking about is right here. See the crime map? This is what we just looked at just a second ago. This right here. Okay. Then look over here, green on the east, just like it was up in the north. So it's green in the east here. I'm going to flip back over as we kind of cruise. Look here. This is Kissimmee, by the way. Look at Kissimmee. So all this Kissimmee area, except for out here, this Kissimmee area is super bright all the way from Orlando down. So you can see there's a hot spot of crime on the west side of Orlando. See it? Everybody sees that? West side, massive crime. Looks like it's hot here. I don't understand why this is. There's a hot spot here too. We'll just kind of look at that as an overlay. But like, so we're back here again. What we just saw is this area right here, all the way inside of Phillips, all the way down here. So this is very hot spot with crime based on that. Based on crime, what is it? Crime.org, crimegrade.org. And so that this is something to be concerned about. Look at, so Kissimmee's here. A second ago, we saw all this is bright. This is all bright down here. And it's bright all the way till you get to this edge over here where Celebration is. So like Celebration, West Kissimmee, far West Kissimmee is okay, folks, crime-wise. And here, crime-ridden. Also, this isn't a very appealing place because its traffic is ridiculously difficult to deal with. Okay, so like, and again, this side of Orlando, you saw was green. This side of Orlando is Winter Park. We're going to the east side a little bit. I'm not going to stay real long because this video is going longer than I expected to anyways. But all this right here, Altamont Springs, Winter Park, Castleberry, Oviedo, popular schools, popular places to live, and just overall really great options. You've got the Seminole County schools I mentioned. UCF is on this edge of town. Actually, it's back here off the 417. Very nice areas. Down here, you have Lake Nona, which is outside of, right here, Lake Hart, Lake Mary Jane, all this. This is right off the outside of the Orlando airport. Lake Nona is one of the most popular areas of town as well. And so there's a lot of opportunities there as well for you to experience Orlando. Again, I like all the east side. Like, I really love this east side area. I love the far west. These are my favorites. This area is nice too. This is a comeback area. So you see older houses southeast of downtown Orlando, where you have, some just amazing houses being rebuilt, being invested in. And then there's some hot spots and some crime over here. Just seem to watch for. I think it's probably mostly like property crime and stuff like that. I mean, I don't, these areas here aren't bad. They're just hit and miss. Like, you just have to be watchful of that. But east side overall, very, very big on east side. And then kind of moving down, St. Cloud is my hometown, where I grew up. And it's a really cool town. You see that the entire city is built on this huge lake. And I'm pretty sure there's probably a mix of crime there, but I would say overall, it's still, let's take a look. You see how it's kind of middle. It's not, there's a lot of green areas in St. Cloud, a lot of light green. This is a very popular area. This is, all this up here is Lake Nona I just showed you. You can see, this is all Kissimmee. Like when you see that line right there, this is Kissimmee. I don't know what the heck they're doing over there. They told the cops to take the day off or what. I feel for the cops, by the way, and I've known Kissimmee police officers. They're very busy and they deal with a lot of crazy stories. But basically, St. Cloud down the heart, pretty simple. This is ABC grades for crime. And it's growing fast. Like St. Cloud is getting very, be marginally more expensive. because it's on the shores of Lake Nona. This is a cool town. Like this is just, this is like what early on I was explaining to you what Mount Dora is like. This is like Mount Dora, except it's a lot closer to Orlando. It's a lot closer to the airport. So like earlier on, we circled the area and I showed you this area in the chain of lakes. And I said, this is such a cool little quaint town. St. Cloud down here is, to me, doesn't feel so far. I guess they're both probably pretty easy to get to Orlando. But St. Cloud's very popular with the locals. Like people that live there stay there for a long time. And again, I'm not saying, I could say the same thing about Claremont. I could say the same thing about Winter Garden. I could say the same thing about Coe. I could say the same thing about, Mount Dora. A bunch of different cities kind of hold that same. Oviedo is the same way. Castleberry, same way. Altamont Springs, Winter Park. Those are holding the same charm. So don't get me wrong. It's like, this is just a place you need to focus. It's just another place to consider. But again, that's where it's at. Now, if I didn't cover anything else, it's because it's probably remote. So I really kind of hit the big spots, kind of circling the hub of Orlando. There's a community out. These are communities out here in the green. See all this area? This is very rural. You get a lot more land. There's a community built off the 528. So folks that want to live between the coast. So look how close that is to the coast, also close to Orlando. This area is called Wedgefield right here. A lot of custom homes here. It's very popular. It sells very good, even though it's out in the country. Very good honorable mention I'll tell you about here, meaning something to consider in the good relationship of having something on land, something more custom, but also very popular and easy to sell is this. Same with Geneva, same with Chulolota, which I gotta zoom in to even find it. Right here, Chulolota is right outside of Oviedo. Very popular area, sells very hot. So like these outskirts areas on the east side, because the east side is so good, appealing. Oviedo's very hot, sells very good. Lake Mary is very hot. And I didn't go, let me go north before we cut the video. This is very, very important for you to see. So I-4 is north. We're now above Orlando. Sanford has a lot of affordability, but Sanford is hit and miss on the crime map. So like, that's one thing we'll just kind of pull up and let you see it. Like, look at Sanford on crime. Just be careful of Sanford. See how it's like glowing in the middle of all the green. So something to watch. Deltona is above that. So let me go to affordability for a second. If you're on a pinch for price, you're in the 300s, and you want to be north side of Orlando, you might want to skip Lake Mary because it's more expensive. Heathrow is in this area. It's expensive. And go towards Deltona. Deltona's got a lot of affordable housing. There's no homeowner association anywhere in Deltona. Almost none. I bet there's way less homeowner association than there is homeowner association, which is very uncommon in Central Florida. Usually it's the reverse. DeBerry, same way. Orange City, the same way. DeLand. So like this pocket right here is the north side. This is a different county altogether. It's called Volusia. You see it's surrounded by forest land. So Seminole State Forest, Lower Wekiva, State Reserve or Reserve, Lower Wekiva River Reserve State Park. All that's over here on the west of this particular communities that we're kind of looking at. Osteen's kind of getting out in the country. Like you see equestrian properties and barns and crap like that out here. Big land, stuff like that. But that's it. That's the north side that I kind of just flew through. That gives you some opportunities to kind of know some different areas, what's affordable, what's not. Obviously, the further away you get from downtown, the more affordable it will get. And there's a mix. So if you like certain areas, and again, I tell you that as the number one starter, people want to relocate here. You cannot look for houses on the internet unless you know what city you want to live in. That's a rule. You're breaking real estate rules, right? Because people they send me 5 houses. Like, I want to see these 5 houses. And I'm like, you will never live in any of these neighborhoods. Like you've never seen them. Like I know you haven't seen them, and so you guys know how it is. You've looked at, anything presented online is not believable. That's just a good rule of thumb, so it's like, yeah, these photos look nothing like the real thing. Like, what house was this that I saw on Zillow? Yes, that's because you got to pick area first. You have to get here and pick an area first. You can pick a house virtually if you know the area. You cannot pick a house virtually without the area first. That is it, folks. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned a little bit. Continue in the comments. I'd like to see your thoughts. Do you know any of these areas? Do you love, hate? You had any experience driving them? What's your favorite spots? Tell me in the comments. As always, Give this video a thumbs up. If you appreciate the content, subscribe for daily content on the Central Florida Marketplace. We'll talk to you real soon.